Last time I saw you had a very low cut.
Very well.
Well, 50.
We hope to resume back to at least some level of activities in France from Monday. Yes. We have a few participants online already. So thank you to all our participants for also joining. We have...
Just before we start, we have to finish by 4:55.
4:55.
Before then.
That's very fine. So we'll probably just round up the major points within 40 minutes and then allow for questions for 10 minutes. And that will be fine. So thank you once again, Honourable Abike Dabiri, for making this time out with us. We understand how your time is precious. And so thank you for giving us the opportunity to be able to interact with you. So once again, for our participants, we're going to be engaging Honourable Dabiri, who is also the chairman and CEO of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, on very important issues with respect to the diaspora. So if you have your questions while we engage her, please feel free to text them, or by show of hands, or send me direct messages. We have just 15 minutes. So without much ado, first of all, I want to say thank you for, granting us this audience. And
thank you very much, and good afternoon, everybody. Nice to be with you.
Thank you very much, Ma. So on the first note, we're going to have the questions in two categories. The first one is the category of COVID-19, and then we'll also go to the second category of questions that will fall under post-COVID-19. And so on COVID-19, the first question goes thus, that with respect to different things happening in Nigeria, we have seen efforts from different private sector stakeholders. We'd like to know what contribution has the diaspora made with respect to supporting Nigerians, whether at home or abroad, in the period of this pandemic.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everybody. I'll break that contributions of Nigerians in the diaspora to two. One is we have Nigerians in the diaspora that are contributing on the front lines of this fight against COVID-19. Everywhere in the world, we have Nigerians who are not only treating people who are falling victims of COVID-19, but also in the forefront of finding solutions to COVID-19. From the UK to the US to parts of Europe to Africa, we have Nigerians there. And recently, of course, we heard of Dr. Babafemi Taiwo, who is one of those who are, we're told there are about 100 to 80 different things being typed. He's one of them. Also in the UK, we have quite a number of them. Dr. Luwaru, Mr. Jackson, quite a lot of them. So I'm proud of Nigerians wherever they are. When some people say, oh, one day in Nigeria doing this, they can't at this point in time because they're also working in various places where the services are needed. In fact, some of them have had to be recalled from their leave to participate. That is one. Two, we also have Nigerians in the diaspora who, despite all these challenges, are actually coming together to raise funds. They're actually coming together to raise funds. So sometime next week or in the next couple of weeks, whatever they're able to raise, they say they want to buy equipment, they will be giving it to the federal government of Nigeria as their own contribution to the fight against COVID-19. But they're looking in terms of, equipping those on the front line. So I'm sure in the next week or two, we'll get to know what Nigerians in the diaspora have done in there. And I want to commend them because in the midst of, a lot of them have had their salaries cut.
Yes.
People are not going to work, but in the midst of that, they go together to say we want to something to our country. And I'm very, very impressed with that. And of course, we also know that we've lost Nigerians in the diaspora. As I speak with you, I know we have at least 30 that have died in the midst of this pandemic. Definitely so. And some have also been healthcare givers, and there are about 2 in America now that are on ventilators. So our prayers are with them that they survive. So basically, and then there are those who are offering telemobile services to the Nigerian government too, in their various ways. So I really want to commend our brothers and sisters in the diaspora, what they've done so far, and just joining all of us in praying that the Lord to please heal the world.
Thank you so much. Very, very excited to hear that even regardless of distance, we have Nigerians abroad who are also showing solidarity, and it's very interesting to hear that. Still on the issue of COVID-19, Ma, with respect to evacuation, we've seen tweets and different news with respect to evacuation, and most people in diaspora would like to know what progress has been made thus far with bringing Nigerians who are stuck in different parts of the world home?
Well, in that regard, for those of you who are following, the Minister of Foreign Affairs actually announced that by Wednesday, which is tomorrow, the first flight will come in from Dubai. Now, this is strictly being handled by the Presidential Task Force of COVID-19, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So the minister announced that by tomorrow, the first flight will come in from Dubai. And those coming in from Dubai will be tested at the airport, because Dubai has facilities for testing. Some have already tested the various parts of Dubai. In Dubai, you can just walk in and do your test. So those coming in would have been tested, and they will fly in, and I think there are about 200 and well over 200 that will be landing in Lagos. And then they will be going to compulsory isolation, 14-day compulsory isolation as stipulated by the NCDC. There's no self-isolation. It's compulsory isolation. So they are going to go to get themselves to, well, according to PTF, they have to pay for the isolation. But so when they come on ground, the NCDC will take control, and I hope everything goes well. So that is that. Then on Friday, there'll be a flight coming in from the UK. All arrangements are being made already, and there's likely another one on Saturday, also from the UK. Now, from the US, the Consul General has issued a statement for the 10th of May. So people have been asked to go, you buy your tickets directly. So if you want to come home. But however, there are NCDC protocols to follow. You must compulsory isolation, 14 days. And I want to appeal to any Nigerians. If you know anybody who traveled and just came back, do like that father in the kitchen. Make noise and say this one just came back and he's not in isolation. So it's compulsory that is done. And we know it's a catch-22 situation. Nigerians here are saying, be careful, why do you want them to come back? What if it gets worse? But Nigerians over there, and these are not Nigerians in the diaspora like you, Abiodun, that are living there. They are Nigerians who traveled for one thing or the other, got stranded. They have the right to come back to their country. So that's why government has to be extra careful to ensure that the protocols are adhered to. 14-day compulsory isolation. There's no alternative to that. Although some are saying, well, if you're going to give us 14 days, you won't come. So those are the programs. As the minister said, there are over 4,000 in 75 countries. Wow. Gradually, everybody will come back, but it has to be in stages. Most importantly, because of where you have to isolate. The place has to be ready. Like for those ones coming to Lagos on Wednesday, another 2 weeks before another state can come in there. So it's a bit of a catch-22 situation, but the PTF is doing everything to make sure that you come home, but then you don't endanger the people at home.
Wow. Thank you very much for very commendable efforts. I already got questions before the webinar. So for those of you who already asked me questions about your relatives in the UK and across Europe, I'm sure that already puts a spotlight into your answers.
And for those who are asking that, why should they pay for it? Well, it's voluntary. It's not compulsory. You don't have to come now if you don't want to. And other countries paid for it. UK, USA, Canada. In fact, Canada, I think they paid almost 6,000 Canadian dollars. US was between $1,500 to $2,200. Same thing with the UK. And the cost of the ticket will be quite reasonable. So just to answer that question, that why should we pay for it? Well, it's voluntary, it's optional. It's the system government is providing to make you come home in this turbulent times.
Wow. Thank you very much, Ma. We'll forge ahead. So now we're breezing into post-COVID. And that was with respect to diaspora. So we've seen you in attendance of big events like the Nigerian American Business Forum. There was a UK Africa Summit earlier this year also with the President Buhari also in attendance. There was one that was supposed to be held in France, which is the African France Summit, also an investment summit. In view of that, we also know you also champion diaspora investment, and that brings to mind the Nigerian Diasporans Investment Summit that held in 2019. One was built to hold this year in November. We're not sure if it's still hold. So what I want to ask is, what is the goal here with getting the people in diaspora to invest? What are we looking at critically?
That is one of the major mandates of the Diaspora Commission. How do we get Nigerians in the diaspora to do something back home? And when we pay lip service to the fact that, oh, we have Nigerians all over the world doing great things, those great things we want to work with it to do it back home. The last year's Diaspora Investment Summit, we had about 300 Nigerians from all over the world, who came to see where they could invest in Nigeria. And the good news is that a lot of them are looking at healthcare, education, food business, agriculture, and I think those are the four primary areas they're actually looking into. So what the Commission tries to do is link it with the appropriate authorities to make life easier, ease of doing business, NIDCOM, Ministry of Trade and Investments, and all that. And a lot of focus, incidentally, is on healthcare. So we have some, like even from the Nigerian American Business Forum, who want to build a world-class medical center in Nigeria. The Minister of Federal Capital Territory is going to give us a medical diaspora city. The Nigerians in diaspora are willing to invest in. And we also have the Saudi Nigeria Investment Summit, where for the first time, Nigerians in Saudi came to Nigeria to put up an exhibition, and they were saying, wow, why haven't we come before that now? And some of them had never been to Nigeria. They're Nigerians, they were born there, and they came to their country for the first time. So many things we will do in terms of having you invest back. And I want to commend you to Friends of Nigeria. We know the things you're doing in France in terms of getting Nigeria, getting French investments into Nigeria. So we commend you and hope that many other people will do what you're doing. You're passionate for your country, you promote your country, and you say, look, my country is the best place to come, and we are seeing the results of what you're doing. So that's what we want to appeal to every Nigerian out there. This is our country. Look at COVID-19. At the end of the day, home is home.
Yes.
I have people who came from England before the lockdown said, I just want to go home.
Wow.
So home is home. So what kind of home do you want? Government has to do its own, but you have to do it.
Yes.
So we're saying that, you can own the world over there, but what leg do you want to have in? For instance, we're working with Federal Housing Authority for a diaspora mortgage policy, where it's possible for you to just sit in the corner, sit on your computer, and be able to get your home here.
Beautiful.
And we are working with different real estate agents where you don't have to go through a third party. Just sit down there and get your home. In terms of fraud, EFCC has a desk for the diaspora. So when anybody wants to cheat you, tell us, we'll get to EFCC. We have 3 cases with them at the moment.
Wow.
Even for youth service, we have an NYSC desk. So for those of you out there who have finished your whatever, you don't know what to do, we advise come and do your youth service. So those challenges are there. And then for the old babas who said, what is happening when we're talking to NYSC, the law is the law. So there's no area Diaspora Commission is not involved in that has to do with Nigerian house. We want to make life easier for all of you so that you can actually, we're not saying pack your bags and come home.
Yeah.
No, we're saying that wherever you are, there are things we can do with home. There are little things we can do. There's a group from the UK that did surgeries on 29 children.
Wow.
29 children.
Wow.
Free of charge.
Interesting.
People from all over the world. So there are many things we can do. We provide the platform so that you will not give any excuses for say, what I didn't say, what I didn't say. What we are saying is that this is your country and we need to work together to build this country.
Very, very insightful, ma. Yeah, I mean, it's not negotiable. Just the statistics speaks for themselves. That Nigeria as a whole, even the remittance from diaspora, for instance, was about 83% of the federal government's budget in 2018 and 11 times foreign direct investment. So beyond remittance and coming home to send, and obviously we know remittance have majorly for consumptions, buy generator, birthday, and fix your car. So, I mean, it's not negotiable that we do have this prowess, and with NIDCOM, I believe that yes, more Nigerian members of diaspora can be able to leverage and be able to do something back at home. So moving on, because of time, I want to dive into the issue of human trafficking. We've seen your efforts also with the government on various fronts. We just saw the latest, which has to do with the Nigerian girl that was put up for sale in Lebanon. And the other ones you've been working at and ensuring that at least this issue is put to a halt. I saw one of your tweets, and one of the things you mentioned when tweeting about some girls that went to their local embassy was that you wrote to Sarah reporters and said this issue, regardless of what we do, must be tackled from the roots. So the question is, for the issue of human trafficking, what are the short-term plans and the long-term plans to curb this menace?
Trafficking is the sole responsibility of NIDCOM, the National Agency for Trafficking of Persons. But with the coming of NIDCOM, when we hear of cases of Nigerians in distress, we step in. So when we hear that, oh, this person is distressed, no matter the circumstances, we want to see what we can do. So that's what happened in the cases where we were able to intervene. But you say trafficking goes beyond. You are talking about remittances for $6 billion. Trafficking is a $30 billion business.
Wow. Wow.
Traffickers are making money selling human beings.
Wow.
So something the world must pay attention to.
Hmm.
You know, and this money is in the hands of a few people. Your remittances is going everywhere. Look at a 30 billion world business.
Wow.
So beyond, okay, this girl in Lebanon, she's now with a mission. Beyond that, who trafficked her? Who were behind her? That is why all we do is get them back, but NAPTIP does all the work that has to do with traffic. So I can't answer short term, long term, because it's not the job of NIDCOM, but it's the job of NAPTIP. But for what NAPTIP have been saying, there are, plans to put this up. But on my own part, having worked with on visible in parliament or on television,
yes,
you need to nab traffickers. As long as traffickers are walking about freely, trafficking will continue. Wow. As long as traffickers are making money for this billion-dollar business, selling children, it's a huge, huge, strong network all over the world. So as long as they are not arrested, named, and shamed, you can't stop that next door who's going to be told that, look, come, you're going to get a job somewhere, and I'll take you there. You can't stop it. So for me, the root thing is, how are we arresting the traffickers? And this has to be joint work between the country of destination, the transit country, and the host country. It's not something that I can sit in office. So it's a big, big dollar business, and the world must be part of it.
Wow. For members in diaspora, how can they come in to help? I mean, probably somebody is hearing and knows of a case of somebody who was trafficked and they need help. What should be the first point of call if they would like to give an information or to help?
The mission.
The embassy.
The mission of whatever country, the embassy in that country. You can also contact NIDCOM. When we get that, we work with the missions and then with NAPTIP. So any information, if it's difficult passing across, pass to us, we pass to NAPTIP as well as the mission to this country. So that's how it operates. And I'm sure it's not, we have emergency numbers which you can give to everybody later. And then, but basically, I always tell Nigeria, wherever you are, let the mission know you are there. A lot of people say, we don't even bother, they don't care about us, but go there. If you go there and they don't care about you, then you let us do it. Go there. You'll be surprised at the one reception you're going to get. Take China, for instance, in Wuhan, where coronavirus broke out. We had a group of very, 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 very efficient students. They were already in touch with the mission. They have their registration. They have their numbers. They have their details. When crisis came, it was easy to reach out to them. And when they said, Mr. President, give us some money to survive, it was easy to give it to them. So report at every mission where you're, and just let your presence be, particularly students. Let them know you are there. It's not when there's any trouble.
Very true. Very true. It's always been, I mean, many cases of it's us against them. So it was one of the questions I was hoping to ask, that how does NIDCOM also help to bridge the gap between Nigerians abroad and the embassies where they are located? Because everybody feels the embassy doesn't help us, we don't have interest in them, and there's this gap, I mean, across the world on how to, it's one of the things to ask you to say, is NIDCOM going to play a role? Because like I said, it's always we and them, and it's only when we need visas or you need help or a document to stamp, they remember there is an embassy. And so are there ideas that you can suggest for people to feel more comfortable in approaching the embassies wherever they belong to?
Yeah, that is beginning to happen. If you notice, even in France, you can't tell me that your ambassador is not responsive to the Nigerians there. So all those things are changing, and all I know is that if there are lapses, let us know. You might be surprised there's a break in communication. I'll tell you a story of Canada where Omani Oboli, went online and said, listen, for all my family, my passport was there for 4 months. It turned out that her passports have been waiting for her. All she needed to do was just go there and pick them up. But because of this notion of, they never answer anyway, she was shocked. Yeah. And by the next day, when she got in touch with us, we told her what to do. She collected all her passport. So it will be sometimes bridging communication. So we are going to also strengthen that communication aspect of it. Take UAE, for instance, in Dubai. There's one Obina who they said was in prison. Yeah. We contacted the mission immediately. They got to know, and they've gone there. The guy has been granted bail, but his family needs to get the person that will sign his bill. Now they are coming to us and say, help us bill. We can't help. We've done our bit. Yes. Now your own family should go there and provide bill. It's not the mission that will now give you bill. You need some. So what I'm saying is, it might be sometimes breaking communication, which that is a lacuna we try to fill. But I want to commend most, if not all, our missions for being responsive to calls by Nigerians. Where there are problems, let us know. We communicate with them, and it's usually not a problem. Yeah. But let us know. If something happens, all you do is go to social media, take videos. Like what happened in China, the first thing I said, why don't you go to the mission?
Yeah.
It's not about walking on the streets. How do I know who you are, where you are? Go to the mission. And they went to the mission, and you persuaded the consular officer, acting CG, Mr. Lawal, actually went out there and interviewed on their behalf. So please report at the mission.
Yeah.
And then we have emergency numbers for all stuff.
Very, very true, ma. Just to also mention, especially for some of our participants who are in France, they might not know this, but one of the things the ambassador of Nigeria to France, Dr. Modupe, really did, a few months ago, was also to call on all Nigerian associations and their representatives, from Friends of Nigeria to NIDO, to Igbo Association, Oduduwa Club, and asked all of them come together. We're about 40 associations made up of Nigerians who were at that meeting with senior officials of the embassy, and she asked us for ideas on how she could work together with Nigerians in France, how she could be of help. So, I might not be able to speak for other missions, but at least I know we have a responsible ambassador here in France. Thank you very much.
And you know the beauty of that? What makes that more unique? She's a woman. Women,
yes.
We don't joke. And she's from Lagos State. So double.
Very true, ma. Thank you.
So don't worry, I'm not trying to be biased, but we're being factual here, and I mean it.
I agree. So moving on, now going to data gathering. We saw our beloved brother Shaggy, do his stunts to ask diasporans to go and register and, to fill a survey. And I'm speaking on behalf of diasporans. There's so much speculations. Why did they need my data? They've not helped me over the few years. I don't want them to have my information. I don't want them to know where I'm working. The Nigerian government has not been kind to me or fair to me. And so wanted to know what is the aim for this data gathering and to what end, so that participants can understand the intention behind this data gathering from the diaspora members.
Yeah, because you're saying government not care for you. Now, government is saying we want to care for you. Government set up a commission all for you. It's a one-stop agency for the diaspora. So without data, you can't achieve much. Look at what has happened in Nigeria now. The lack of data was very evident when this coronavirus came up. The lack of data is something that we will work on. So one of the things the NIDCOM did on board was this: data is critical. I don't want to know your name, but I want to know how we can help you. If, for instance, you tell me, Mr. Abiodun, you are in France, this is what you do, I want to ask you, okay, what areas in your country do you want to invest in? And I tell you something, the data is already gathering results. One more, we haven't had enough from France, so I hope after this we get more. 96% of Nigerians want to invest in their country. From the data we've gathered, about 96%.
Wow.
And those 96%, number one primary area is agriculture and health.
Interesting.
And education. So the data is for us to plan. The data is not to know what you want to do. So we are not stopping yet. We stopped because of the corona issue. We're going to continue on the next step. So the data will help us in planning for you. If you don't know what you want, how can government be of help to you? So we know that there are challenges. For instance, there's somebody who said, okay, my biggest challenge, electricity, but guess what? Is being able to put solar in this community, in this village, and it comes home yearly and does things with the health center. It goes there. So the data, and I want, even this corona period, one of the problems we had was that when people travel in, they are told to fill your form, they fill wrong data. They don't put correct phone number. They don't put correct email. So it was difficult to track some of the contact person. And that's why you come back now, you're not allowed to go anywhere. 2 weeks compulsory isolation. Now, when US was taking the citizens back home, of course, you pay between $1,500 to $2,000, but you could pay later when you get back. You know why they could get? There's data, there's tracking. But here, if you say, take your flight or pay later for where, so data is critical. And I think as a country, as a nation, whether you're here in the diaspora, we need to take data seriously. So for those in the diaspora, we don't need to know the inner world. We just want to know how we can work better. We want to know how we can work together to make Nigeria a better place. So I hope that you still add us with the data. We don't need your name, actually.
Yeah.
It's more of, okay, 20 doctors are in France. One is the disease expert. So in the time of need, we can pick up people and say, hey, we need you.
Yeah.
It's about data is key to development.
Very true.
And if we're talking about the diaspora, we need data for development. Nobody's looking for you. And then the diaspora is somebody, official definition, living legally in another country that has a name, has an address, and pays taxes in that country. So a diaspora is actually a very highly responsible person.
Yes.
You're paying a tax where you are, you're working there, there's nothing you're hiding.
True.
So that is the diaspora.
True.
And guess why we need data again? You all want to vote. If we start now, as I was talking about diaspora voting, we can put up a form of accurate data to say, you know what? And if it is 20 people in France, there is 20 people in France that can vote.
Yeah, yeah.
So if something is coming your way and it's 30 people, the mission has their names, and it's those 30 people you work with. So please don't run away. Data is key to develop. And we hope that we continue to get support of every one of us, both at home and in the diaspora.
Very true, very true. I mean, that I think it's a no-brainer, because that was the only argument we also had against President Trump. If there was no data of Nigerians in the US, when President Trump was calling us a shithole nation, and somebody had to dig to let them know that Nigerians are the most educated citizens in the US. Nigerians are the most, when it comes to, you know, some professions we have. It was data that was able to show that argument. I mean, it wasn't so, it was left for the president to accept that when it comes to migrants in this country, this is not fallacy. We have data to show that this particular migrants in our country, in the US, they are not to be compared even with the US citizens or the ones who were born themselves. We have about 20 more minutes, and I already have some questions, so I'll just go into some of the questions that we have. This is from Abdul Razak, and this is what he has to say. Good evening, Honourable Dabiri. Some couples are not able to be together due to the pandemic. Weddings have been cancelled. My question is, can a marriage certificate be given in Nigeria if a partner is stuck abroad in order to process residence permits?
That's not in my purview. I think it varies from country to country.
Okay.
And some countries have legally accepted online wedding. So it varies from country to country. So ask from the mission in the other country. But I guess hopefully this will soon be over. But it varies from country to. Some countries have actually passed a law making it possible to have an online wedding. So it depends on what country the person is speaking from. And let's see what of things in those countries. But see, in this area of COVID-19, a lot of things will have to change. I wouldn't have been doing this with you if there was no COVID-19.
Very true.
We are doing this.
Very true.
So it varies from place to place, and so that the guy has to be more specific.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Okay, from someone here, it says, can some state governments provide incentives to diasporans who want to bring investments home? So he's now talking about state level investment for diaspora. What can NIDCOM do in that regard? You
know, we have virtually all states now the SSs on diaspora. They have the focal persons on diaspora. So out of 36 states as of today, we have 27 that have focal persons on diaspora. So if I know your state, I'll link you directly with the person in charge of the diaspora. So one of the things the NIDCOM has done is decentralized. You know, NIDCOM is not just supposed to be sitting in one headquarters in Abuja. So all states have their diaspora focal persons. And then subsequently, in other parts of the world, like in France, we don't have volunteers like you. And we just say, listen, you want ABCD, there are 6 people in France who can contact as volunteers. We also have the diaspora organizations and all that. So, if you give us much the particular events, I'll link you up with your SA diaspora, and then whatever NIDCOM can do, like we've been doing, we have like a bridge between you and wherever it is you want to invest. We try to see what we can do with the stumbling blocks, the ease of doing business is getting better. Dr. Jumoke is always on top of our game there. We work with the Ministry of Trade and Investment, and the content of the Ministry, Science and Tech everywhere. So let's have specific details and we do with it. And we have the AI messenger that will be just testing it basically. It's going to be out there where you can ask any question. And the name of the AI messenger is Abike. You just chat Abike through artificial intelligence, and you get all answers to your questions. So that should be coming up in a couple of weeks.
Beautiful, beautiful. I think that already jumps into one of the questions. Somebody's asking here, is there really an online diaspora platform page where we can engage? That's what the person is asking.
Oh yes, Unfortunately, I don't want to be, don't let me pretend that it's being handled by me. I have eggheads when I'm doing this with the commission. So I don't know the details in my brain. So don't let me be like the guy who said www. So I have a very efficient egghead handling all these things. But go to our website and get all the details. If you go to the website, www.org.com.
Okay.
I'll send everything to you. Just go if you or go to our Twitter handle,
Yes.
NIDCOM.gov.ng.
Yes.
Ask for all this information, they will send them to you.
So
the AI messenger, you see the AI messenger, because even me, I'm trying to understand it. It's coming up. We've had almost about 200 people exchanging, but it's something we're going to put out there. So for everything, we're going to engage with you online. Ask any question 24/7. We'll answer you. So we're building it, and give us about 2 weeks. It will be all over the place. So the key thing is, as a diaspora, we should be able to reach you all over the world. So we're doing everything to make that happen. So we're working on that.
Thank you. Another question here. Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
No, just giving you the. You can also email admin@nidcom.gov.ng. Admin@nidcom.gov.ng. Ask for the emergency numbers of the Diaspora Commission. Because there are 2 emergency numbers you can call anytime. The AI messenger, give me 2 weeks. We're blasting it all out. It's already there. You get all the information 24/7 answer your questions. A lot of questions at this point in time is about COVID-19.
Yes.
And evacuation.
Admin@nidcom.gov.ng. At least I'm sure. I mean, if you follow Honourable, you know. I don't know how she sleeps. On Twitter, she gives direct answers. I don't know how she does it. So, but if you're an active follower,
my husband is suffering for that. My husband is one that suffers for it. So he said, "What are you doing up there? Go and sleep." No, don't kill yourself.
Sometimes I wonder.
Give me my own time.
Interesting. Well, somebody just asked again. I think you mentioned, but he says, what steps did NIDCOM take concerning Nigerians residing in China when they were sent on the streets? What steps did NIDCOM take?
Yeah, I think the first step NIDCOM took was when the thing came up, they said, just go to the mission. Which they did. That was their first thing. Apart from working with just go to the mission, they went to the mission and Mr. Lao, the consular, our CG in Guangzhou. But beyond what NIDCOM did, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has taken steps, the Parliament has taken steps, the Nigerian government at the highest level has taken steps. We want to see the results of these steps. But let me tell you something, don't pretend that things are okay in China yet. They are not okay yet.
Wow.
The thing is, as a Black person in China as of today, you're not being allowed to rent houses. Wow. Forget about what anybody tells you. You're not being allowed to rent houses. They want your documents. And then, let me tell you the long and short of this. If you know that you want to drive irregular migrants in China, say so. Wow. Show your papers. You are not a legal migrant. Go to your country. You also have Chinese illegal migrants in Nigeria too. Yeah. So my own is let them be factual. What is the problem? But for now, the federal government is working on evacuating Nigerians stranded in China. There are about 301 for businesses are going to come back. So as the evacuation process goes on, China will be there. Then we now move to stage 2. Who are the irregular migrants in China? China wants you out, yes or no? And if you don't have your documentation, you can't survive there. Let me tell you the secret of it. Without being able to get a place to rent, you can never get your residence permit. Wow. And if there's no house tied to your name, you can never get it. Wow. So we take it. So the first thing, those that are stranded, let's bring them back home. Then secondly is look at the issue critically beyond the surface. Okay. Leave all the diplomacy, beyond the surface, deep down, what really should happen between Africa and China.
Interesting. Thank you very much. That's very clear. Next question here from Abiodun Odunuga. She's saying, is there any updates on Nigerians in diaspora getting mortgage loans to purchase real estate in Nigeria? Mortgage.
Yeah. Thank you, Abiodun Odunuga. That's one of the things we're actually working on. Like I said, we're working with the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. And then we also have some diaspora groups that we're talking to that already have a foundation in this regard, where we can partner with them to make sure you get the mortgage and then get the mortgage and buy your property without living where you are. Wow. So yes, there are proposals in that regard. Because if you look at it, like from the survey, it's one of the #1 challenges in Nigerian diaspora. You
Wow.
want your property, you want to buy it, but then somebody cheats you because you are not there. So we're taking that very, very seriously. And I don't care if you have your own proposals, let us have it. Email us, let's share ideas together. And somebody tells me I don't care is a real estate group
Yes.
or someone wants to buy a property. So let's talk about it and work around it.
And then the next question from somebody also is France has, when it comes to France, Nigeria has the highest level of migrant prostitutes. What is NIDCOM doing about that to sensitize people and also, reducing that statistics and giving us a good name in France?
Would it be France or Italy?
She said France, but I think it should be Italy though, but
But whichever way, it's even wrong in
yeah.
the first place. That we have a high level. But you see, it's not about NIDCOM, it's about a multi-sectoral approach to dealing with irregular migration.
Yeah.
Immigration has to be involved, NAPTIP has to be involved, National Orientation Agency has to be involved. If you go by the strict definition of diaspora, I've told you, but that's not what it's about. Human capital development. It's about being out there for our citizens. It's about massive awareness.
Yes.
Now, as an irregular migrant, and then also the properties that are trafficked.
Yeah.
They don't just get up on the plane and get a ticket. They are trafficked. They are used through agents. And one of the sad things, when you look at them, a lot of them have fake names on their passports. I tell you find them. For instance, in Lebanon, out of 23 girls that were rescued by the mission, about 20 had fake passports. So after rescuing them, the next question was, what's your real identity?
Wow.
And even at that, because you have a fake passport, it's already a crime. So the embassy will have to pay some fine.
Yeah.
So, it's a very complicated process. So it's about having a multi-sectoral approach. It's about you and I and everybody stepping up this awareness program. It's about those families who will encourage their children to go abroad and do anything.
Yeah.
Some of them have the backings of their family. They will tell you that this one has done it. You need to go and do your own. But let me tell you the problem now. That one that did it, if you survived 10 years ago, it's not like you survived now. So it's tough also at home, but we can look in what there are things that can be done. For instance, the guy who brought from Kenya, Smart was into IT. Because he was an irregular migrant, he spent 6 months in prison. Now, those 6 months would have graduated. He's back home now, doing his work again. We will support him with the Cabinet State government, and he's doing this, and he's so glad to be back. So awareness and real life stories are examples of those who have returned and are making success of their lives. Government has a role to play, definitely. Great jobs, great and enabling environment. But in the meantime, it's important to know that greener pasture might be a redder pasture.
Yeah.
Very, very red and ugly.
Very true. Very true. Very true. Well, thank you very much, man. Another question here, still on evacuation. So now from the other side, what is the plan to evacuate Nigerians who are based on Europe, who are currently trapped in Nigeria? How do we get them back home to Europe? The ones that's the diasporans already trapped in Nigeria. What's the plan to get them to return?
Well, I will have to pass that to the PTF because we are looking at those who are trapped. They have not actually put their numbers together, and so because maybe the flags that are leaving, we take them when they're leaving. So it's something we need to push the presidential task force. But I'm probably also thinking that Corona will blow away and we can live our normal life. But I'll put it to the presidential task force. But I know that they are not going likely to open special, but they should have made that case a long time ago. Come and say this number of Nigerians are stranded. So who knows? The plane's coming to take them back. But I only heard this for the second time.
Wow. Wow.
But I also had a lot of people who told me that they were glad they were stranded here.
I have a few friends who are still in Nigeria on the call too. Yes. Okay, man. Well, we have just 10 more minutes with Honourable. So if you still want to ask questions, so let's make them fast. We have just 10 more minutes. So while I wait for other questions, I just wanted to quote one of our speakers. We at Friends of Nigeria, we have an annual event that you know already about, Spotlight Nigeria. And the event brings over 100 business leaders from Nigeria and France together, both public and private sector. Last year, for the second time in a row, we had Dr. Andrew Nevin, who is a chief senior advisor for PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers. So he was around. And one of the things he said is the biggest resource that the country has from his own experience and from his own judgment is not even oil or anything, it's it's our minds. And he still made a tweet many days ago. He said it's not Forex, it's not anything. The brains of Nigerians abroad are the best resource that the country has. And that is one of the proponents of supporting the diaspora movement. And so there are many Nigerians who are probably here too, who have also the act and the desire to come back home, obviously, but they are plagued and distracted with infrastructural deficits. They don't know how to go about, if they want to contribute their own quota to development of the nation. Very clearly, I see how you celebrate great Nigerians, even on your social media, from Anthony Joshua, who is into sports, to Mr. Ogunlesi in the UK, who bought an airport in London, and many Nigerians that you celebrate. We have many of them also in France. We have the likes of Mr. Donatos Owokoye, who is an automobile manufacturer making an annual turnover of about 10 million euros. We have Promise Dekwe, who is into energy. And FON, like Promise, has even told us that he left Nigeria during the Biafran War. His father took him off, and he also feels disconnected. And he tasked friends of Nigeria to say, I don't know home, I can't speak the language, but I would like to do something back at home. So for Nigerians who are here on the call, on the chat, and they are wondering, how can I still maintain my, I still want to live in Europe, but I want to be able to give back, whether through a personal, corporate, social responsibility. What are the platforms for me to give back to the country?
NIDCOM is the platform. You have the platform now, you never had it.
True.
It's a new platform. It's not even a year old, but you never had it. Now you have it. So tell Promise that I'm coming to look for him. Tell Promise that we'll work with him. And tell Promise that after, and others to have that after all this, there's a lot people like Promise can do. And the beauty of it all is about, that connection with home. It's a very key connection. If you know where you're coming from, you know where you're going to. And guess what? Historic African diaspora, those who were taken away as slaves, whose forefathers were taken away as slaves, are now coming to trace their roots. They are doing their DNA.
Yes.
And those that are Nigerians are saying, listen, we want to come back home. They're even asking for Nigerian passport. So all those things we're working on. And we have a program called the Door of Return, where we take them to the dark gate, where they symbolically walk to the point of no return, where the slave trade they were thrown into the river, and then they walk back, and we see them as kings and queens through the door of return. So you were taken away through the point of no return, you're going through the door of return as king and queens. It's a very emotional ceremony. I don't know whether it's going this year because of COVID-19, but it's usually in October. So tell people like Promise that we'll be reaching out to them, we'll be meeting with them, and we'll be engaging with them. Now you have that platform. It may take a while, but we're going to succeed.
Beautiful.
Reaching out to people, and to people like you too, Abiodun, because we know what you're doing to bring investments back home. So through associations like yours, through the mission and every other, we keep engaging our brothers and sisters and know that no matter what, also at this point in time, this will be a post-COVID-19 thing. Home is home. Play your own part in home. Government will play their own part. Yes. And as Melvin said, we also work with Melvin. They did a fantastic research, and it's true, the power of the diaspora. Yeah. Not even the remittances, it's the human capital development. It's the brains that you have everywhere in the world. And the biggest brains are Nigerians. So when we talk about development, India, Pakistan, China today cannot talk about development without the diaspora. Yes. Especially with the Nigerian diaspora. Yes. The most educated immigrants anywhere in the world. So what is our problem? We have to bring it happen. President Buhari has given you a commission. So let's work with that commission to bring about greatness to our country. And as you're doing that and developing your host country, it's a win-win situation for everybody. So it's a huge task, but we hope to work with everybody.
But thank you.
So send everybody to NIDCOM. We'll be willing.
Okay, we have 5 more minutes. So one more question here, and then we'll probably call it a day with Honourable. Okay, I mean, this is a two-way question. It says, how can we replicate FON in the EU countries such as Netherlands? I think it's probably to ask, how can we also have groups like the Friends of Nigeria and other European countries so that we can?
Just start it.
Yeah. So.
Friends of Nigeria was started by somebody. And then whoever is asking that question, don't wait. As you've asked that question, start it. Subsequently, that's our next thing, that we're going to be reaching out to all associations all over the world, all diaspora groups, all those of you in France, all over. We have an organization, Nigerian Diaspora Organization, which is supposed to be an umbrella body, supposed to be, but not yet is. Yeah. So we're still going to work with stakeholders to see how do we have, all of these associations come together so that You know, we can truly. So that's our next stage. We'll reach out to you on, you know, how we intend to have it. Let's start by even doing all these groups with criteria. Don't go and set up one group and a 5-man group and say you are organization or
Yes.
because some people will come. Even I do. 4 years ago, we said, can we have 1,000 members worldwide? We couldn't get it. So maybe we'll get it tomorrow. But what I'm saying is that we must have a situation where we bring all Nigerians together. We have AMPA, Association of Nigerian Physicians in America, fantastic job. MANSAC in Canada, all medical professionals in UK. We have in Canada, CAMPAC, all medical professionals in Canada. We also have in Africa. So, you know, we need to bring all these groups together, professional groups. There's a cultural association under a big umbrella. There's already a structure called NIDCOM, but it needs to be strengthened. The way it is not working. I'm sure if I ask people that are 26 SSs, they don't know that such an organization exists. So we need to do something to bring us all together as one united nation. And you know, it's, like I said, it's about human capital development, it's about us all doing something for our country together, individual, collective.
Okay, just 2 more questions. The first one is, how do we fund associations who are, so is asking, how do you fund the operational cost? Because most of the associations run on, you know, on the funds by the members or the founders. So how does NIDCOM have provisions to support such if they start one?
That's why it's an NGO. It's an NGO. NGO is as strong as you want to make it.
Yeah.
You know, so we'll keep brainstorming on it. But NIDCOM also wants to be a revenue generating agency. We don't want to sit back and say, how can we have 26 billion of you in the diaspora and we cannot? So we don't want to get involved in running.
Yeah.
You can join one. And we're trying to say, how can we reduce the numbers?
True, to quality.
You can join an association, but let the associations be run democratically, openly, and selfless. I've given you about all these medical groups. You know, by next year, they already know who will take over. So they're not fighting over position.
Wow.
So we'll come up with a structure that we hope will be accepted to everyone. So you don't need to join openly, you can just join one. But join one that can make it possible to go to what you want to be. To contest for anything you want to contest for, as long as they accept it. So yeah.
Okay.
We continue to work on that.
Okay. Last question, because of our time, Honourable has to leave exactly about 1 minute's time. Somebody's asking, when should we expect diaspora voting? We want to be able to vote and want to also contest.
Expect diaspora voting the moment the National Assembly passes the bill. Okay. Now, there's a gentleman in the UK, Mr. Abiodun, who put a group together, had the stakeholders workshop here in Abuja, and the speaker was there, Senate President, VP, everybody represented. One thing is clear, diaspora voting is desirable. But is it achievable? The answer is yes, it's about commitment. But actually, the ball is in the court of Parliament. Can we convince Parliament to make it possible? Yeah. They've given us some things, some answers to some questions to answer. And then the diaspora voting will vary from country to country. True. The way it operates in Brazil is not the way it operates in America. Yeah. It's not the way in India. It varies. So we'll do our Nigerian version of diaspora voting. It doesn't have to be everybody at the same time. We can start with maybe a staff who are posting. We can start with associations that are properly documented. Like I said, have a job, have a career, paying tax. Yeah. So we'll sit on the table, working with Parliament to work on this. So diaspora voting will happen if the National Assembly passes the bill. So my appeal to you, diaspora, is put pressure on the representatives, on Parliament. Because you're right, you deserve it. Yes. You deserve it, but it has to happen properly, well structured, and not, so there should be more of a solution by the court as we move on.
We will. I mean, we can't have the likes of Togo, Mali, Zambia, South Africa doing it, and we call ourselves giants. We will.
We shouldn't be a giant with the feet of clay.
Thank you so much, Honourable. Your time means a lot to us. You've given us 50 minutes of your time, and this means a lot to everybody who is actually listening to us. So on behalf of the entire, not just Friends of Nigeria, but diaspora and makeup in Europe, we'd like to say thank you for your inspirational leadership. Thank you for offering your ears and giving us your audience. One last word for us before we call it a day.
No matter what part of the world you are, Nigeria is your country. True. No matter what part of the world you are, this is home. So we are here at home. We are one hand. You are there abroad, you are the other hand. The two hands need to work together, as Professor Solide told us at our Diaspora Investment Study, to build this Nigeria of our dreams. At the end of the day, a lot of you tell me, we want to retire home, we want to be buried at home, we want to still come back home. So don't wait for the El Dorado before you do that. Let's start now and work together. And you know why we don't have any more excuses? We have the Diaspora Commission. We never had that before. We have the Diaspora Commission to table all this, and the Diaspora policy is underway. Hopefully, when work fully resumes, FEC will approve it, and then we have a holistic diaspora policy to do with all diaspora engagement. So we need you. You need us. You need your country. Your country needs you. It's a symbiotic relationship. Let's work together to make it happen. And we're so proud of all of you in the diaspora. We're so proud of you. We're saying that let that pride reflect at home. We build the country of our dreams. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for putting this together.
Thank you, Honourable. And the words, just in closing with the words of one of my colleagues in President of Nigeria, John Okoro, would always say there's nothing wrong with Nigeria that cannot be corrected by what is right with Nigeria, and that's the diaspora. So we don't have to come.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. This means a lot for us. Thank you everybody for joining, and we'll be sharing the recording part of this broadcast via emails. Have a wonderful evening, Honourable. Thank you so much.
Thank you everybody. It's been great. Thank you.
Thank you.